Peace be upon you. Already started, but the phone died. Okay, let's go. You had 6, you're called in order to overcome a challenge and truly accept and integrate something as it rises in full truth. Yeah, it's gonna be triggering and painful, and yeah, you know the process. Be brave, embrace it. Go through those feelings, go through. That's integration. It's painful. Life is pain. Anybody who tells you otherwise is selling you something. But there's a purpose in pain. That's the part also that they don't tell you. The ones that either cause you pain or just embody or channel pain into the world. They cannot see what pain has the capacity or potential to instill or rise or birth into this world, light out of darkness. So, but it's up to us on whether we do manage to use that pain or it ends up consuming us. In the process. So in that sense, I pray for everyone to be able to alchemize their pain, not even that, and to see it as their superpower, to see the potential and what they've conquered in it, that otherwise they could have never, ever conquered. Otherwise, the most important things cannot be neither bought, sold, given, stolen, taken, no matter how much we would want, for good or bad. It's you. You determine what you do with your pain. And you can only do so when you release it and it's no longer yours. Peace. Movement. Healing. You're defeating this. You've got this. Abundance, prosperity, success, realization. Based on merit. Finally, recognition, acknowledgement. That translates in a practical sense through overcoming actual physical, financial challenges. Lack of family, foundation, support. I mean, how does one know how to love if they were never shown? They learn when they understand that they are the embodiment or fruit of love, of light, beauty, acknowledgement, recognition. People from other cultures and just generally socially speaking, someone is being recognized as being a quite valid and beautiful person. So obviously there's going to be some, don't confuse, romantic interest, adulation by people that seek, pardon, for their own gain and so on. But there's some form of honor, reward, respect. So there's recovery in either social standing, how you're perceived by others, you feel treated with respect. It's beautiful. Sterility in reverse and illness in reverse. This usually is mental illness, or it can be addiction. And sterility is in where you cannot seem to be able to manifest nothing grows, nothing, a sense of failure, of even, being some force working against you, and you yourself struggling with your shadow side, whether to embrace it, whether to accept it, acknowledge it, and so on. It still works in the background. As a matter of fact, the more you try to bury it, the more it will grow stronger, and it comes back, threefold. So yeah, that's what you're facing now. It came back, it grew into a monster. You gotta face it. Because it's your monster. You created it, you allowed it to grow. So you cut its head. Power is all yours. It has really no power over you more than that you give it. You give to it. Honors, as I said. Which will translate in amazing job offers, proposals, gestures of kindness, gifts, blessings, even tax returns, for example. Inheritance. This is karmic, again, based on marriage. So it comes from something that you did in the past. Everything that you've done up until now, it wasn't for nothing. And of course, you are here in the flesh. You will need some tangible proof of that, because otherwise, what the fuck is the purpose of manifestation, right? What's the point of doing all the right things if I'm always the one suffering? Especially when you know for a fact that you're not supposed to. I'd give you an example. Why would you be born, for example, our beautiful Libras, with an innate sense of beauty and a taste for the beautiful, think about just perfumes, for example, and why the fuck would I be born with that nature and instincts and when I can barely afford a deodorant? So I get it, absolutely get it, how you constantly clash against, how it translates into practical. So it's not about the measure of your character, it's about, the definition of madness. At this point, it's ridiculous. Why do I even keep trying? And you're right, because reality keeps telling you, you're doing it all for nothing again. You know you're going to fail again, right? That is what you need to defeat. That's shadow self over there. Constantly keeps reminding you that you're going to fail. And it brings you memories or proofs, so-called, to justify that, right? To validate the fact that, oh yeah, I know, oh, you're going to fail. Usually one would react if they were truly convinced and have really overcome that, poverty mentality and the traumas, and they're not defined by what happened to them. Rather, they use it. You would say, fail or win, fail or gain, who cares? This is what I'm going to do, whatever. But you always find yourself to say, yeah, of course I will. Because I always do. So you have this memory of you as not having been able to overcome any actual hurdle. It's not about the conquest or the victory or the success per se. It's not the outcome that you were after. But you are hoping that if the process is so difficult and you understand the value of the process, not the destination, right? It's the journey. But what's the point, right? Who would put themselves through hell knowing that they're gonna have to, I don't know, sacrifice something if there's really no actual motivation based on past experiences for them to do so? Why would they send themselves to hell? They need a good reason, a tangible one. Proof. This is not someone asking for proof of God, of divinity, or of purpose. You don't lack any of that. Again, you have all the truths right there. Pursue them enough. You need to shift perspective. And at this point, you're right. It's out of your hands. You need proof. Again, not of God, not of your own worth or value, or that love exists, or faith in humanity, or you don't need proof of that. You decided to believe either way, and if you got this far by believing, you're not going to drop it now, even though you may say you do. I say, I'm done, I'm throwing my toys, I'm done. though you go back at it. So you're a hopeless, hopeless, faithful one. So, in positive sense, obviously. So that resiliency, that spiritual resiliency, is probably what triggers most people. Not your successes, not your social position or your energy. That is one that it's very hard to break their faith. And it's not ambition and it's not personal gain that they're after. And again, it's not what is at the other end, rather what's behind them that is concerning. They can no longer actually wholeheartedly and in full, complete capacity of their own, rational analysis and evaluation of their journey up until now. There's nothing to stand on. It's like standing on rubble and shouting, I'm going to build that castle, and everybody laughing around you, right? You know that you should be building that castle. You're not wrong. And you're also right. You're lacking the material. You're lacking the support. You never stood a chance, right? Oh, yes, you did. Castles that you want to build. Are castles that should be there for generations. They're not sand castles. That's why everybody builds sand castles while you're trying to build an actual one. In a world that has drifted so far from what the whole purpose is, that it fails to even recognize what you're trying to manifest. You keep saying, I want a castle, and they say, well, there it is, it's full of castles. No, those are counterfeit castles. I want a real one. But you gotta work with others, and nobody wants to work with you. I get you. But guess what? They weren't worthy. Either way, they were not meant to build with you. Enemy in reverse. And again, the table. New alliances, finding spiritual families, mending relationships, going through the painful conversations, the alchemizing, that's leveling up. Again, at a social level, social standing, which obviously is going to affect your reality in a practical sense by giving you all the resources. Out of nowhere, everything appears. You have the materials, the right people, and you start building. What I need you to do is to release the past, only so that you don't make the mistake of confusing these new energies due to distrust, which is valid. Absolutely. You may be overly cautious. And you're right, you question everything you should up until a certain point. But there's really nothing to question here. By all means, I dare you, if you meet someone new, you have all the right to be very careful in what you express, how much you share, and so on. Allow them as well the space to show their intentions and their worth. And as long as you open up in that sense, you stay open, but of course a bit of distrust should be there, again based on your past experiences. It's only the reasonable thing to do, as in, wait a minute, I don't know this person, so yeah. But again, you have a lot of experience, so it will be very quick for you to determine that, no, this one is not going to stab me, this one does not have a hidden sword somewhere, a dagger somewhere in there. No, there's no swords here, there's no deception, they speak truthfully, they are authentic. And I think you recognize how authentic they are because they themselves, the people that you're about to encounter, have nothing to do with whatever we define as success up until now. You recognize that they have succeeded in becoming themselves. They're authentic. So you can trust them, even if you don't like what they have to say, even. Now, with this we can work, because it's truth. Anything else has to go. And indeed, everything else did go, didn't it? Not because you were being punished. Because you were being shown, passed through all the hells so that you can reach heaven. And be able to recognize it, because many people have been given and granted heaven, not necessarily based on what they did in this lifetime, but and they failed to recognize it. Their challenge was quite the opposite. They had it all, they did not see it. Yours is you had nothing, yet you knew what all actually is, what it costs, and you were willing to pay the price for it. So that's faith right there. As I said, do filter out and learn. Please learn to share your most important. Anything else, yeah, we gotta share it in that sense, but share only what's already conquered and integrated and you've healed, and right, otherwise it turns into just bitterness and gossip and trauma dumping, and you appear as problematic and hateful, or you obviously appear as unhealed. But that may just be habit at this point, right? So do try to leave space with the others before, as in get to know them before, in actuality, without, expectations, without, and observe the person, connect with the person at a different level before you start exchanging just information, experiences, and so on. Because there's a high risk that amidst the actual right people, there may be someone that's already in your life that you're supposed to obviously get rid of, that under the guises of caring, which you feel in your heart that they don't, they have some ulterior motive, you cannot quite pinpoint what that is. In reality, they don't really have an ulterior motive. They're that version that any of us, should strive not to become, that have went through this trial over here. And that's why you will meet them. It will show you what happens when people just have received some false light and it's not really from the heart, and what happens when you embrace those type of attitudes and in the interaction with others, right? So it's showing you what you need to let go of before you turn into that person. That even though, again, she may not consciously be ill-intentioned, but obviously she's after something. She doesn't seem to mind her own business. It's a feminine, because we have the snake here. And we have a feminine here. So careful about a feminine presence that is in appearance all available and kind, but I don't think you can actually even stand her. So there's a mirroring somewhere there. That's why you met the person. If you cannot quite pinpoint, and so that it shows you how others may perceive you when you're in that state. So you may see her good intentions and so on, but nice gestures, and right, she's pretty similar to you, but it's also showing you, okay, I don't want to be this. I don't like this energy. I don't want to be this, embody this energy. I obviously cannot connect with the person, so therefore it's not my place to try and help her either, because you gotta have love or connection in the heart in that sense, no matter what type of love, but yeah, to care. And you don't care about this person, neither do they for you. It's simply a karmic interaction, merely for the purpose of testing you and giving you the opportunity to see how you were handling your pain, turned into something that, unbeknownst to you, became problematic and toxic and perhaps even to some extent rude and the opposite of love, right? Judgmental and bitter, and that's not who you are. But again, it may be a pattern, and it may not be as severe or serious to that extent that this person has. And of course, she's completely unaware that what she's doing is really out of place, and for the very least. And but most importantly, I'm concerned about your secrets and the gossiping. Maybe you may do it even intentionally, in the sense of you may see in this an opportunity to speak about some things that you were never really ready to speak about them in a more public manner. So you may actually embrace this energy and say, I know this person is gonna share all my secrets, but it's time for all these so-called secrets to be revealed so that we can do something about them. I will take the shame that comes, the criticism, the judgment, the misinterpretations, and but it will also reveal to the other people that, they have no compassion, no understanding, no, they themselves are escaping something. So these people may be doing minding your own business in order to avoid doing their own work, right? And you may be doing the same in a different sense without you even realizing. You may seek culprits, you may point fingers, you may, constantly go back to whomever or whatever hurt you the most. But you never really went straight to that person, or you never really, it may have been out of kindness. You were trying not to make someone upset, or maybe even recover that relationship to some extent, right? Well, it's telling you to speak honestly. So even though you're open, allow someone to express their intention, see in what spirit they're coming, but be very protective of your energy and space. And they may be coming because they're feeling your worth, and as we spoke about, your recognition of your worth, right? And they may just be trying to either piggyback on you and something, literally absorb all of the wisdom, the knowledge, because they themselves don't want to go through the process of doing so. So they think, much like, for example, we teach one another, we inspire one another, we steal skills, we can teach each other carpentry, for example, right? But she just wants the insight so that she can use them, because obviously she built a persona that she will then use as to portray herself as something that she's not. So basically she will mirror you, and what you see in this person is something that's mirroring a side of you, a tendency rather. That's not you. It's how you handle certain things, social interaction and so on. When you meet someone new, it's avoidance of dealing with the situation itself face to face, right? Or full on. So you're called this time around to address it full on. You can do so respectfully. And when you see that someone is crossing a line, or right as you discover some deceit, some lies, call it out, so that next time that you may be tempted to stray from truth, or what regards you, or what comes from love rather than pain, and so on, you may catch yourself, right? Because you wouldn't criticize someone else, or try and call someone out for being, for example, gossipy and disrespectful with precious information that you share that's personal, which is supposed to bond people, right? Keepers of secrets of one another and so on. Intimacy, an expression, a form of intimacy. If they betray that, right? And you don't have to have actual proof, you will feel it because they may betray themselves usually. Say it instantly. I'm sorry, but what I shared with you, I realized that it's kind of like a test, right? I was being vulnerable and open and sincere because that's how the connection was set. But you obviously did not feel, the importance of what I shared, and you decided the problem of you sharing it, it's irrelevant. But what's hidden must come to light either way. Doesn't mean it is what it appears to be at that stage or how others interpret it, but either way. And yeah, I shared something with you, and you decided it wasn't important enough for you to actually, realize that that was really intimate and private. And so you ruined the very foundations for this connection to be able to be anything other than just acquaintances and, the respectful kind of a social interaction level. But I only accept actual, genuine friends in my life. Anyone else is irrelevant, and so are you, because you had an opportunity to be a friend and you did the exact opposite. So it's not actual backstabbing. Someone, because of their actual nature, they may not necessarily with ill intent or even consciously, due to their own programming and the phase that they're actually in, how they manage their own issues. Um, I don't see someone in shadow mode. Again, they're not enemy, but they're coping with pain. They think they found something that's actually positive, and they're exchanging and they're open. But they betray. They constantly betray, and it's hard to miss it or to get past it because they do. They really don't do it with any ill intent. I don't think they even realize what they're doing. It's not gonna build relationship. Quite the opposite is true. So it's showing you that you may be doing the same thing inadvertently, maybe in a different manner, and because you are you. But yeah, that's what it's showing you. Be more connected to what you say or do and how it may, unfold and affect and others and so on. But in order for you to be able to achieve that, you have to be open to a level whereas you understand where someone is coming from, at least energetically, and you see what they're giving to you as the gift that it is, especially if it's something very private and intimate, right? So this person is not going to use what you share against you per se, but she will talk about it. May even be out of, admiration, actually. It's a very kind of a toxic form of admiration that's obviously just masked envy or jealousy due to her own failure or his, because it can be a masculine, feminine. Uh, but either way, they will speak of your intimate details in their own manner, of course. Transformed, she will alter details, and yeah. So, beloved, no one's saying you should clash with this person, or just saying they're not a friend, and therefore don't treat them as if they were. Don't confuse things. They could have become one. That's how friends are found, and you aligned in so many ways, as if you complete each other's sentences and so on. Energy-wise, though, we have a problem. You don't really like the person. Everything clicks in a rational sense, and you could help one another, basically, right? But there's no connection in the heart. Not for this person and not for you. Again, it can be a friend, it can be a situation whereas you would have the possibility to build a nice relationship or even a friendship if you overcome this hurdle, depending on how the person reacts when you remind them about how you choose to live and how you don't like the fact that they kind of disrespected that, and they use something that you've imparted in a sign of friendship and trust, and they trampled over it, threw it in the trash, treated it as if it was just something to go out, shout it in the market. Yeah, they simply could be someone that could have been just a friend, and you may have, if it's an opposite sex, because that's why I see a masculine that could be feminine or very feminine, so either a water sign. And speaking of which, from tomorrow on there will be a beautiful rebirth as well, going up, right? um, Expansive. So therefore they will receive more, manifest more for Leo, Virgo, and Capricorn. Scorpio. Speaking of which, from the 12th on, I believe it's gonna be for at least 6 weeks that they're gonna have some form of social rebirth and so on. You obviously have those placements somewhere in your chart, so check that out. I'm not gonna go into the astrological details of why that is and so on, but anyway, so Scorpio. What am I saying? Yeah, Leo, Capricorn. Sorry, Leo, Virgo. Wow. And Scorpio, Leo, Virgo. Pardon. I was thinking another group that is at basically at the opposite end of it. So they need strength. Keeping them in my prayers. As for you, it's all expansion. So you're gonna have to receive a lot. Remember that what you received is for the purpose of putting it to some use. So back to how certain things can be absolutely positive. They're amazing, but they can turn toxic and stray from what it was intended to be. For example, openness when it comes to what you share, right? In hopes that inspires, it helps, and so on. You have absolutely, your heart is in the right place. You feel it that if you've experienced or learned something in life, it should be imparted and shared, right? The issue is that there's no real selection going on whom, at what time, the right timing, proper, environment, the right person, if someone is receptive to that, and even more so they exchange in return and so on. So you need to be more careful when it comes to why you share what you share, and to whom, when, etc. So manage better. It's not about criticizing, or no, it's a beautiful, it's kindness, it's generosity, and it is in according to how actual energy should work. So you're absolutely on the right path. What you need to adjust again and shift your perspective on is, what am I sharing here? It's true that I have no intention and ulterior motive, which means that the information is as less tainted as possible, right? So it's truth, it's delivered and so on. But in reality, that's not true. We still tend to taint them when we start without even realizing, hoping that people would see our intention and would appreciate it. So there's expectation there when you impart whatever you impart. When you give, do, there's always some form of expectation. So again, that outcome or destination or goal, that seems to be the focus, and it's based on you thinking that will automatically, cancel out what's behind you. So why do we look into the past? In order to try to understand why we are in the present, right? So that we can make decisions now in order to create our future. So, but your future is created now, not in the past. So you have to detach from both what it could have, what has been, and what could be. So yeah, careful to whom you impart. Treat that knowledge, the wisdom, the experience as sacred. Many people are about that now because they're going to try and weaponize it in order to achieve. They're going on that trend because obviously it pays to appear spiritual, to appear right. It pays. Everybody wants to feel special. Many just are having an identity crisis, so they're better off thinking that they're Pleiadians, they're this, they're that. They keep putting labels on themselves, and whether they are or not, regardless, that's not the point. But I mean, no one is Pleiadian. Come on. But again, right? Yeah. Mm. So being able to socialize without you feeling the need every single time you interact with someone else to restore your faith in humanity, to give them everything that you've conquered up until now. Because that's why you worked so hard on yourself to begin with and to overcome. That was the whole motivation for you overcoming. So you're trying to tell and listen, to inspire again. It has that very hopeful, positive twist to it. But somewhere expectation has insinuated in this beautiful process. And you find yourself constantly hurt, disappointment, betrayed, and so on, because you're just handing it out to just whomever comes along. And again, that can be quite positive because you're not trying to filter or select specific individuals because you have no agendas. That's actually so organic. But there's that broken self, that unhealed self over there that still manages to try and find a way to come back out. And then instead of saying something in a specific manner, even though it may still be the truth, facts are facts, then you give a spin on it and it comes from a place of pain. And so then you should realize that that's unalchemized pain. So you should address it. You did not yet conquer those things that you speak of in a specific manner, with specific expectations or specific energy. Once you do face it, integrate it, and because speaking of it, it's only going to do so much, right? Quite the contrary. People draw conclusions, they have their own inner world, they may see some benefit in what you tell them because it may be useful for them in certain ways. Regardless, they have their own reasons, but you should ask yourself, what are your reasons? Because again, yes, you do it because it's only the natural things to do. We receive to give. Everything I am or I learn is supposed to leave a mark, but not to build any self per se. But because that's the whole purpose of us being here, right? Everybody participates, contributes, is completing the whole, which is obviously diversity, right? So each of us is unique, and we should be able to exchange and impart, but not compete, not to use anything against one another, not if we can impart it or impose it upon others, or claim that to be the ultimate truth, or it may be ours, it may be something that many other people resonate with, right? And so on. That's how we get cults, right? They're all just coping mechanism, but they're escapism there, right? But some are more intense than others. And the most dangerous right now are those that portray themselves as some form of enlightening or experience or illumination of some sort, and they are convinced that they actually overcame. They did the shadow work and overcame the dark night of the soul, which is not true. Just turned into something else. Different labels, different boxes, different, same toxicity. So no one's contesting on whether you speak the truth or not. Is it really necessary? Why do you do it? To whom? And so on. So more, use it more wisely. Nothing is to negate, but rather to learn how to use and assume accountability for how you use it. You seem to have failed to assume accountability for you trying desperately to find love by crying your pain left and right, in full sincerity, and that requires such a spiritual level of degree, because it's full openness. It's as if, wow. But it could be done differently, and still maintain that beautiful purity about it. As in someone who doesn't strategize anymore, who doesn't, they just are. The issue is you should be realizing by now that what you chose to be or became without you even realizing, in relation with others, of course, that's when you discover, and that's when we do the karmic work and so on. You should have realized that you weren't healing by doing it the way, in the manner you were doing it. And it did not help anyone. Not you, not the other people, not because it wasn't alchemized, integrated to truth. Yeah, it's still yours, but in order for them to actually be planted as seeds, yeah, you have to integrate them. So I guess you need to start back on the process of the individuation of the self. The best way to do that is to interact with as many people as possible. You get to practice, you get the same way children play when they're together. Play, enjoy, and also expands and teaches us so many social dynamics and what works, what doesn't, and so on. And the goal should be to make others happy, and that makes you happy in return, right? Because if they're happy, then they're gonna try and make you happy and fulfilled, and yeah. But you don't seem to have any of those dynamics, but because you're coming from a place of pain, and your intention is to impart good, and it stems from a good place, but you're imparting pain, unalchemized, distorted, and transforms, and that consumes that pain. It doesn't matter the manner in which you do it, whether you shout it, or it's rude, or it's the most tactful and elegant and delicate, and yeah. You may be dealing with someone who is very extreme in that sense, as in they just have to find people to constantly, talk about their lives, and their, in that sense of, it's only natural. We're supposed to change experiences. No, there are sacred things that still need the person, right, needs to work on them and alchemize them, hence why they're secrets. She's just he in that first stage where it's raised to a conscience level, and they're trying to process it. It may take a year, a day, a lifetime. So others that they don't just even try at all. They see it instantly. I see you're a moron, okay, you lie, okay, you're in lying mode. Bye. They recognize something instantly. You're having a hard time pinpointing where the pain stemmed from. But most importantly, I think every time you try to move forward, you're trying to validate it by making sure that you get this confirmation, this proof of the fact that it wasn't in vain. So you're giving out information in hopes that someone obviously will have to do the same if they were to interact. And maybe they will impart you either their wisdom that may assist you, an insight that they've conquered. So the ulterior motive is for you, your desperate need to heal, for someone to validate that pain by telling you, I went through it as well. But even that can only help you so far. You want for something, whether for someone or for an event or a very tangible something, to tell you that you are enough, that it wasn't your fault. That yes, there were many things that you did not choose, but that you were not a victim. I'm sorry, these messages come as they come. Opportunity, windfall. So try and be more, present and self-aware, and treat those very painful things that you're those are only for the actual friends that connect in the heart, and then they can empathize, and the ego will play on that as well. It does that with me all the time. Don't tell it to a friend. You're burdening them. That's for them to decide, right? Real people don't carry their crosses for one another, but they don't see a brother or sister's pain, or loved one's pain, or a child's pain, even though it may destroy them, as anything other than an opportunity. It's validating their connection and their friendship. Here it is, the opportunity for me to help them, right? They're not carrying the cross for you, they're there with you. There's a difference. So yeah, you feel in the heart that real friends could never be bothered by any of your least pleasant or most challenging or most painful stages. And they would be willing to at least, give you the space for that pain. For you to actually express it once, but it's as if you would put it in a safe, in a precious golden safe in someone else's heart, mind, and the other will not perceive it as a burden, but as an opportunity to love. You. So no matter how many times you will speak of those things, they just constantly shift and transform, and it's not going to help you. It's the same with the passions. Now we have the season of burning out the passion. It doesn't matter with how many people you sleep. You only need one, your own person. So, consummation is so easy to feel, so natural, because that's the whole point, right? We hope that via consummation, example, you have an urge to eat, even though you shouldn't, or it's not good for you, or if you consume it, you can just get past it. You just fed something that you recognized as toxic. The more you feed it. So we shouldn't enable not ourselves or others in certain behaviors. Practice self-restraint, and that's why I always said at least 3 days of fasting. It's a start, because the whole process is about that. No intake, and food is obviously nourishment. Nurture is mother, is feminine energy. And why fasting is so hard is because mother is she always has to receive. Entire humanity is in feminine, right? So we are born with a nature to receive. The only thing we can actually do, we cannot actually, do anything about that. We're always going to seek to fulfill needs. There will always be, something, an emptiness, something rises. But that's supposed to propel you to, because it rises in order for you to seek food, in order to nurture yourself so that you can function here, for example, so that you can be a parent. So you see, everything serves a purpose. So take good care of yourselves, because you yourself are the blessing unto the world. First and foremost. So that's the actual meaning of self-love. We understand that whatever we do seek to obtain, to receive, we have to be careful on whether we succeed in doing so, and why that is. So of course you're thirsty for love, because indeed you failed in obtaining that acknowledgement, recognition, and everything you gave, you seem to have given it so freely, that to the point of giving it to just anyone. And again, it's also true that We don't meet people just randomly, right? But what happens when your shadow starts leading you in certain directions? The wrong people that you know that are wrong and for you, regardless of evil, not evil. And it leads you to interact with them. So then, yeah, that's something due to your failure to see that, understand that process, that it's pain that's leading you to make a certain choice rather than other, and so on. And not facing it and be done with it, so it cannot work there in the background. Then you fail to understand why you meet certain types of people, why they are traitors or this or that. Because you choose them. They never chose you. There's a lot to say, but I'm gonna leave you here. I'm not sure when we will be seeing each other again. Eternally grateful for all of you. I'm gonna do the thinkable, speaking of oversharing and all of that. And even though I know it's against all odds, I want to try for at least a couple of weeks to give it a shot to return in palliative care. Though I'm reconsidering because I have many other cases and available currently, and I could maybe seek for something, a lot easier. But then again, in my line of work, there is no such thing. So, and not just because I may not make it. This is not ego. It's just because I have to think of the moral and right thing to do for my patients. So if I'm not capable, so I'm gonna see if there's anything that I could actually. I'm looking at some cases and I'm gonna have to choose one, and of course it's not gonna be for 2 weeks because contracts are not for 2 weeks. But I'm gonna communicate with my company, my ex-company, my manager, and see if she can kind of understand what I'm trying to do. Sometimes you find people that just need someone while they are, for example, taking their vacation or on holiday, that have contracts like even yearly or full-on contracts with some certain patients or families. But that again, that's not in palliative. So you can find something like that for just a couple of weeks while the actual caregiver that it's there on full contract or 6 months or whatever, they will need their time out. So now it's the season, everybody goes on holiday, and I could find like a couple of weeks if I can survive the journey there. And of course there's the issue of the cats, the lack of money to prepare to go there. Regardless, all of those I'll fix them. We'll make sacrifices, but hey, I'm going to try again because I'm stubborn. I am stubborn. In some cases, maybe we are stubborn for a reason. But if you feel you gotta do something, do it. But just try to do it in the right way, what feels right to you, according to your own nature and conscience. In other words, no one knows better than you what you need to do. But if you're lost in other yous, or the broken you that tries to constantly get some actual, genuine care and love, and how? Because they have to go through this darkness that's constantly as a front, a wall in between you and others. So even if you wanted to, you can only manifest these kinds of energies. There are exceptions, of course, but of people who see behind it, straight to your soul, but that's absolutely spiritual family. But generally speaking, most people don't go past the mask, the persona. What they see, you gotta see it, from their perspective. And that's why this is happening. You're gonna get all those things that you actually deserve. But the trick is, because hand the 6 in reverse, and right, who are you? Cancerian energy. Who are you? Hold your tongue when you know that you're about to say something that you've said so many times. To what avail? It helped no one. And yes, you did it in such a beautiful, pleasant manner. You didn't perceive it as if, well, I appear as, unhealed, problematic, and you didn't realize it. How else would you appear? How else would you be coming from this energy over here? But you had protection all throughout this journey, because things could have been a lot more terrible. So this is telling you you did progress, you did, but not because you were doing or saying or the way you were acting or how you were coping, or because much like our patients, for example, what we do for them, we do for the very spirit, and it has to be from spirit. It's heart to heart, even though we don't know one another, we may not even get along with one another, but there's something that connects us that should, generally speaking, and that's another issue over there. There's really no love anymore in this line of work. But you cannot really expect for them to have to earn that love. You cannot be conditioned by the fact that they're in pain or suffering, therefore they will be a bit problematic, and you know what I mean. So that's why I say real connections go past all of that. As a matter of fact, they see straight, not to how the face of pain, whichever face may come out at that time, but rather right to the source of it. They can actually individuate, oh, okay, this is one of mine, I know, I recognize this. So your people will see right through you, whether you smile or you cry. They know where it's stemming from. They connect to your figure. They're your family. Even stars are, grouped in clusters. So, beloved, you're finding your family. Just try and face something about how you were trying to handle and alchemize and heal, because it didn't work, especially when it comes to how you interact with others. So just face that and release it. That's not who you are. And embrace it. Drop something. It's a habit that kind of installed itself as a counterfeit form of attempting to heal, attempting to connect, attempting to impart, to love, right? You're trying to make this pain at least be of any use to others. But again, those hidden desires, right? The shadows there was to be loved. For someone to tell you, no, all this was not for nothing. Well, here you have it. I'm telling you, all of this was not for nothing. But I'm not going to tell you it's going to be painless. You have to earn this. It's your choice. Do you drop this behavior? Do you drop being defined by your past or the actions, or blaming those who hurt you? Because you are who you are, because everything unfolded exactly as it did. But counterfeit feeling, it's false light. many tricks up its sleeve, right? It contorts everything. That's the very purpose. So something and tools and attempts that were actually quite valid and brilliant, because that's how you do it. You open up, so you bestow. Yeah, you're not really bestowing if it's all about what you're trying to obtain from it. So hence why it never worked, could never heal you. So find those very things that you do that actually bring joy to your heart. Even that means, I don't know, watering plants. Do that. Get more plants, water plants. If not, just go out in the garden, water some plants. Whatever. That's how you alchemize it. You give with no expectation. And yet you experience joy. So that's why I say working with just planting seeds. Once you see that tiny bit of sprouting right above, that's another, right? It's coming right to the light and you see it, that's joy. And that reflects who you are. I hope this made sense. But what I did or didn't, this was for someone, obviously. So don't. I'm not saying close down now and just don't speak anymore. Don't go there. I'm just saying leave the past in the past. 5 changes, as I said. 6 is managing to flip things on their head, and maybe I should do things in a different manner. Maybe there was something that was preventing me from actually seeing where was the problem, what was I doing wrong. And it was something as simple as not what you were saying, not whether your heart was in the right place. It was all perfect. Everything was up. You were doing everything perfect, yet no one gets you, no one understands you, no one loves you. All is sterile, nothing grows, right? And you came in peace, literally. Constantly bestow and give, and a messenger, right? So you communicated absolutely with the purest of intentions. And it's precisely that the shadow tried to play you on. You started making an identity of that, right? Embracing that as something that you just are, and it worked against you because most people never really even cared, nor could grasp, because only some could. If you were to just go past the other misunderstanding that you just have to give it to everyone. Well, it's kind of that age now. You just, truth. You let it, you set it free, and it's a lion, and yeah, but not when it comes to what is strictly for those in your inner sanctum, for yourself and your relationship, obviously, with Father, and how you process and alchemize. That's your work. And until it's integrated, until you actually gather the fruits, you truly have nothing to offer to anyone except a hand of flies. You didn't gather fruits, right? Now you have the fruits, beloved. And you also know what you're going to do with it. And no, you weren't supposed to do this alone. But you're crucial in this whole beautiful new cycle. Each is an individual that has had to go through their own trials, conquer their own victory. So, be wise with what you say to whom, and it has to be purposeful. And usually, you should also see the results, the outcome. Not because you expected it, but it has to be there, because cause and effect. Action, consequence. Consequence doesn't necessarily mean something negative. But yeah, so you fail to see the feedback, or the lack thereof, or the nature of the feedback, or what others did with everything you offered. They either threw it to the pigs or used it to their own benefit. Until you said no, and then you moved on to meeting someone new, and the process repeated. And anyway, I know this is probably I'm speaking now in a manner that is problematic, triggering, and so on. But that's just because you hate whatever you see in me. And that's good. You're supposed to. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't heal. Many blessings. And I guess I'll see you in a while. I won't be. I have to give it all my all and my focus, full focus and energy. So, eternally grateful for all your support. And yeah, it's on me. This is on me. Hashem willing, of course. Him allowing. I'm not going to push too much, but if I have that motivation, because I have to have it, I'm out of solutions, and I'm going to try again. Why not try it, right? We all have our different reasons. As long as it's not me, I can actually pull this off, I think. It's not going to pay much. It's not, hey, we're starting somewhere, right? So, you're always in my prayers. I will still do the prayers, of course, the banishing, and as much as I can to protect you. I cannot protect you from yourself, though. Those selves that you need to work with, okay? So, if you can spare a prayer for me, I would be forever grateful. Well, not for me per se, for my girls, that they're safe. That's all I care about, actually. And yeah, no matter what happens. So, I shall pray for everything you love. Because you see, you fail to accept your nature, that indeed we do live for others. But those others that are meant to be in our lives, they also live for us. With us, if you want. Not because we belong in the sense of there's no possession in that, there's no controlling, there's no expectation. That we just do. We just do. We don't have to know why we don't. And yes, it should translate in practical, because it will be the very things that we're willing to fight for. And yes, they have to be here, tangible. You have to feel your heart burst with joy for them, and want to do whatever you can. Whatever you are, you put it in the service of trying to protect that, whether it's a principle, whether you're a healer, maybe you want to heal it, and so on. To each our own nature. To each our own stage, and yeah, things go in stages. We have to be willing to adapt, to adjust, to be more, to flow with it, right? So take it easy. Take good care of yourselves. Again, thank you all for your support. I'm deeply humbled, and I'm always gonna pay it forward and try to be the best that I can be, not what anyone else, of course, needs me or wants me or expects me to be. But sometimes we have to also remember that if someone you love needs you to be strong, then that's a good enough reason, I would argue, darn good enough reason for you to at least try to do so. So it's an opportunity for you to heal, but only because of the love you have for others. That's what shatters the self. Selfless love. Blessings. Thank you again. And may you and all your loved ones be protected, guided. If you allow yourself to be, you shall. No one can escape the stages that they need to go through. But remember, main term here being go through. So whatever, don't avoid it. Don't allow anything or anyone to give you alternatives, ways to overcome it. No, you just go through it. It does its job and leaves you alone, and you move to something else. It's how we grow. It's life. Blessings.